Whoo-wee. My, oh my, oh my, oh my. Tia, I'm just gonna skip the formalities right now. I'm not gonna say how my day was. I'm not gonna ask how your day was because this guest that we have, like her story demands that we give her that attention. You know, we understand as members that have left the struggles. We understand that we've shared our stories many times. But there have been many moments where we have said, but listen, there were levels to this. You, as a member, had to live this strict kind of life. But then
Exactly.
there were others that dedicated themselves, and that commitment took them up higher in a level, but chained them up to even subhuman conditions.
Right.
Yes, subhuman. And what happens when you meet someone that has gone through that, right? It's not enough for you to say, so and so has gone through this. Like, no, now it's like, hey, this person right here, even for us, we recognize she's been through it, right? So she's been tested in faith, she's been tested in family, her identity has been tested as a mother. Like all
As a,
of these things as a wife, the hardships that we go through, there's even levels to that.
right.
And this is somebody that has lived and came back to tell her story. And for us, just listen, just listen, just listen, and just ask like little kids, like, like, oh, curious, right? So her story, though, isn't about just pain, it's about power. It's about what happens when someone decides this stops with me. Let's welcome her with open hearts, la ex
Oh,
obrera.
Hi, Kevin. Hi, Tia Tavi, and
hola, mi
thank
niña.
you
¿Cómo
for
estás?
allowing me to be here today. I'm good. I'm good. How we would say, gracias a Dios, pero it doesn't apply just when we were in that cold. It's everywhere. Thank God I have health. I'm happy.
Yeah.
And many of us say, oh, I'm free. No, I'm liberated.
Oh, I
Liberated
love that.
from so many things that would make us feel so much pressure under pressure. So now we sit back, obviously, not literally speaking, right? Figuratively speaking, we sit back and we chill and we live life how we are pleased. So
Yeah.
I'm
Absolutely.
excited to be here.
Yay. I'm
Oh
so
my
glad that
goodness.
you honor us with your presence, Mija. And we respect that you're not opening your camera. And that's okay. We just want to hear your story. I actually have heard you just as a commenter person in Hector's channel, but not I haven't really heard your story um, in totality. So this is going to be first time for me as well. Um, I know a little bit about your story, but not in detail. So thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have babies and so forth, so it's hard to just leave that little time for us. So appreciate it, and I'm just gonna let you go. And I want to thank the audience. This is actually a pre-recorded um, live that we're doing, so you won't be able to
Yes.
say much until Kevin loads it up and you can hear it. But anyway, ex obrera, let's get going. Let's get started.
All right. I don't know where to begin, but you guys tell me when
I
and
got you. Say no
we'll
more. Say
get
no
started.
more. Okay. So obviously, I was just saying that there's members, but then there's a level above members, right? So we hear a lot that there's missionaries, and we hear different other religious organizations and how they go about it, right? Knocking on doors, dedicating certain amount of years of your life and everything. But to you, as a member, when you were a member and you were first even considering the idea of uprooting your life to the will of the apostle, or the will of God, as they would say it, what enticed you to even want to take that next step?
Okay, perfect question because I'm gonna have to take you guys back all the way to the beginning of my story of my life, how I actually desired with all my heart, all my mind, what we would want something so much. That's how much I wanted to go to the labor, to become a missionary, to be a help to the supposedly servant of God since Samuel's time. So let me take you a little bit on a trip there.
On a journey.
So
Your journey.
my story starts, yes, the journey. So let me take you back to this journey. So my story begins when I was little. I remember my mom. I'm not gonna say where I came out from, like the original first church, but the ones who know me, they already know where I'm originally from. My mom was always active in church. My mom wasn't. She was converted. She wasn't born into the cult. Neither was my father back then. They were both converted at a very young age. My dad, my mom, she came and she converted like around 22, 23, or 24, around that age. Shortly after, she had me, and my life, all I knew growing up was just the nines, or how we would know them, las de nueves. In the afternoon, kids studies or estudio de niños, and after that, that was it. So my life circulated just around church, literally 24/7. Whenever there were activities, my mom, she would always like make sure we were one of the first few families there, so she can be of a help. So that was my role model, because growing up, every child, and I'm pretty sure you guys also saw it the same way, you guys growing up as children, your parents were your first role models. So in your mind, I want to be like my mom, I want to be like my dad, obviously in the good aspects, right? Like,
Right.
everybody has their tempers, their personalities, but just the good deeds that they would do, that you would see that made people smile
Mm-hmm.
and give good comments. Like, you would say, I want to be like my parent.
Right.
So that was integrated, you can say, inserted in my mind, that I wanted to become of a help as a member. So I grew up always trying to be a help to the church, even as a kid. I always wanted to exceed my peers, the kids from the church. I was always top number one in kids studies, learning a lot of what we would call estudios, like biblical studies, but in reality, they're not biblical. They're made up by the family Joaquin, and they're passed down to the pastors. Hey, teach them this, teach them that. Certain subjects, election was the number one. And for those who have came out of the cult, know what I'm talking about. The subjects, the election, what is God, what is a servant of God, those were the top three studies that we had to learn. So imagine, it's kind of like going to school after school, but for, mind, for your supposedly mind and soul.
Right.
So it was always that, my life, 24/7. As far as I remember, I had no friends outside of church. All my friends were from the cult. Everybody was hijos de hermanos. So the time comes when one time Samuel, he had gone to one of the churches where I was at the moment. And the sisters that would give studies to the kids would say, "Oh, look, Serene of God is going to come. We had to prepare." And I think that was my first time ever looking at him directly and telling him, "I want to help you."
And what did
And
you
him
see in
with that
him?
supposedly, I'm sorry,
And what did you see in him?
uh, supposedly that charisma. I was little.
Yeah.
It's obvious. They brainwash you at a very young age. So once you start understanding, not even understanding, once you just start thinking and reasoning, but at a very young age, 4 or 5 years old, that's exactly what they put. That first chip, Joaquin, Samuel, Nason. But
Yeah.
obviously back then it wasn't Nason, it was just Samuel. Everything was surrounded by Samuel. Everything we sang, everything we spoke, everything we thought about was Hermano Samuel. For many families,
Right.
they would teach their children to say Papi Samuel.
Yeah, I remember.
Correction, it's cringy. Like, ugh, I get something in my throat. Like, ugh, I can't stand it. But my mom always taught me, no, it's not Papi Samuel, it's not Papa Samuel, es el hermano Samuel. That's it, el hermano o el varón de Dios
Yeah.
or el apóstol. Other than that, to us, it was like, no, big no, no. So I never saw it like that. But that's how they would teach us in kid studies. Hay que hacer oración. Let's pray for pretty much translating it. Let's pray for Daddy Samuel. Like, what the heck? Are you serious? Ugh.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I can't say the name of the family. I mean, I guess I could. The Mendoza family in California, when they were referring to Nason,
Uh huh.
they would call him Papi Nason as well. And you're talking like 19-year-olds
Disgusting. Yep.
calling him Papi Nason. Like that is no.
Yeah.
But okay, so you're exposed to it 24/7. You're just like
Mm-hmm.
in it, child studies, and you see Samuel show up in the church. And does it leave an impact on you?
It does. It really
Okay,
does because you would always hear about him, of his greatness, of his, I don't even know what to name it, but pretty much it's charisma, of his charisma.
great.
That's what it was, because there was no greatness. There was nothing else. They
Just a
would
brand.
make you see sparkles and
Yeah, the perfume they would
yeah,
spray. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that. Okay, so we fast forward a little bit and we get to those moments where you're like, did you know that you were going to make that decision of joining as a missionary, or were you just convinced in the moment?
Okay, so there I go. So from that time when I saw Samuel, in my mind, I already had that. I want to be a help. And I remember when I was little, waving my little white handkerchief that they would give you whenever he would pass by. Yo quiero ser ayuda. I want to help you. While there were all these other kids, like, all over the place, because that's how I saw it, right? I was me and him, center of the world. So since I was near the hallway, the aisle, I told him, Yo quiero ser de ayuda. I want to be a help when I grow up. And he looked and he opens his arms, as always, right? A protocol, extends his arms. Yes, you will. So I think that's where it started.
Okay, so
I
the
didn't
seed was
know.
planted.
Yeah.
So at what age did you decide that you were going to join?
Pretty much from that day. I
How old
was
at that time?
5. I was
I
5 years old.
oh, it's
Yeah.
crazy how it's ingrained in you. You
Yep.
know, I was one of the guilty ones that would tell my kids to tell Samuel, Papa Samuel, and my dad would get on my case about it. And I get it now because he was never La Luz del Mundo, you know. So now I
Yeah.
get it. It's like, how ridiculous is that? You know, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
be a father is it's a big name. It's a
Yes.
big
Were
name.
were
Mm.
you were you 18 when you joined, or were you a little bit younger than that?
Okay, so no, I was a little bit older than that, but from the time I had turned 14,
Mhm.
I was always active in church. I joined the choir, how we would say the big people's choir, at
Yeah.
the age of 12 or 13, I want to say.
Mhm.
And I pretty much just worked how we would say, I worked my butt off. I worked myself to become one of the best
Esforzaste, hija.
segundas. Yeah. Me esforcé, I gave my strength,
Yeah.
mind, soul, everything.
Hmm.
Um, and with that being said, the encargados, or the pastors, deacons, I don't even know the grade that they had back then, but just the minister in turn in that church, he would be like, would you want to go to the obra? Yes, but I'm not old enough yet. No, you're not, but you can start going to the local obra.
They want
Okay,
to
let's
actually
do it.
prepare you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the first invite, come join us on the Saturday after the night. We're going to go out preaching. Okay, glory to God. Praise the Lord. I was so happy. So that's how it started.
Wow.
I got presented at 14. I received at 14, obviously. And you know, something very important, they brainwash you. And during the revivals, for those who don't know, when you're empty or when you're not spiritual, as they would call it, you have to make a deal pretty much with God, okay? So God doesn't give it to you just to give it to you. You have to make a deal with him.
Yeah.
I don't know. You have to promise him something, or else God isn't going to reward you with the Holy Spirit, according to La Luz del Mundo. So I promise God, Lord, if you grant me the Holy Spirit, I promise you I am going out to the labor. I'm gonna I'm gonna put my letter, I'm gonna go apply in Guadalajara, because Guadalajara is the headquarters of the Light of the World. So in August or February, whatever comes first, God, please, for the love of the apostle, I'll do it and I'll go anywhere you want me to go. All right. So that was my promise. The next day, supposedly I received the Holy Spirit. How? I have no idea. But obviously, I was convinced that I spoke my tongues. So
Yes. Yes.
shortly after, what is it? Um, I had a dream. I dreamt that I saw myself. Okay, and this is before everybody wore white. I don't know if you guys recall, but according to my mind, the first time when we wore white was in 2010, if I'm correct. 2009, 2010. But in my
Yes. I think
dream,
so.
um, I do recall that in 2007, that's when I had received. In my dream, I saw myself in my dream, you know, like when you're watching the transmisiones, when they have, what is it, those drones flying
Mhm.
around, what is it, La Provincia, and you see
Yes.
everybody wearing white. It said, Santa Convocación, Holy Come, I don't even know how they would call it, Holy Supper 2000, and the last numbers were blurred out. And in that time, it was Samuel. We are praying. Brothers, join me to pray for these couples who are going to go to the labor. In a blink of an eye, I was outside, and then I saw myself all the way in the front by the pulpit that he had. And there were two other couples. So he comes to me, and I'm next to a person. I couldn't distinguish the face of the brother that I was with, but he prayed and said, you and your husband are blessed to go to, believe it or not, call me crazy, Australia and Hawaii. And where I'm sending you, God will bless you. So that convinced me 100%. I'm going to go to the labor. I'm going to be in the labor, a spouse of a minister. And I'm going to be so happy because God gave me this dream. It was a gift.
Good.
So
Wow.
I started applying pretty much to the labor at 14. But obviously, I wouldn't get calls because the first time, oh, you have to be over 18 or at least 18. So I took a break and I applied again when I turned 18 or 19, I believe. But obviously, as a young person surrounded in school, you go through many things. So I, per se, lost that privilege to be sent out because I have to say it. I mean, I'm not ashamed anymore. I used to be ashamed, but hey, it's life experiences, okay? I lost my virginity. So that discarded me automatically because I was not a virgin. Everything was
Cheers.
fine, everything was great. And I remember the sister telling me, oh, but you can't go anymore just like that. I'm going to put the your application in and the carta, the letter that you write to Servant of God. Personally, I'm gonna make sure to give it to him. And if he decides, you will be called. And if it doesn't happen, don't give up. Keep looking. If you want, go look for a brother who's already in the obra or a brother who wants to go to the labor, and both of you guys come and apply. All right. I was discouraged. I felt sad,
I
but
have a
that
question.
didn't make me give up. Yes.
I have a quick question, Mija. So, did the ministers know that you were not a virgin anymore?
Yeah, they knew because I had
Okay.
confessed. I went through my probation time.
Uh huh.
Hmm. But
And so,
that didn't
okay,
stop me from being active. Yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead.
no, that's good. Okay, no, that's good. I just because it's crazy how they act different with different people, right? It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's I'll tell you something
Hmm.
about a family member of ours that I'll tell you about it later. It's kind of
Yep.
interesting.
But let me say something with what you just mentioned right now. Um, the ministers that were in charge of the church where I was at, they never discouraged me. Oh, give up. You're doomed. You can't. They're like, no, no, no. On the contrary, still help out. If you're on probation right now, do anything material for the church. It's
Yep.
okay, but don't stray away from the path of God. Okay, fine. So there I am asking for
I think that's
forgiveness.
what makes me upset. It really
Mm-hmm.
makes me upset. Number one, that they went through go. You're saying they put me through probation, and I had to
Yeah.
confess. But then the girls that get sexually abused by Nazón and Samuel, they get married de blanco
Yep.
in La Iglesia in Guadalajara, and it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And he knows that they're not virgins, and
Yep.
it's okay. That's what really ticks me off is how, depending of the level of person that you are and who you
Mm-hmm.
are,
Yep.
if you're, you know, eh, that just drives me crazy. It's just, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead and keep going.
Yeah, no, it is. It's crazy. Somebody who's not from the cult, somebody who we would consider normal and
Right,
rational will realize this and be like, okay, yeah, you guys are being deceived big time.
right,
Like whatever it is that they're telling you or what they're doing to you, get out now. But obviously we wouldn't see that
right,
because
right.
we weren't allowed to say certain things. Well, according to how I was taught, whatever happens in our spiritual life, people outside of church will not understand. So just keep that to yourself, not
Right.
knowing that depending on who you are or how you value yourself, that
Mhm.
could have taken me to commit suicide. Because the
Absolutely.
greatest thing I wanted to do, the biggest desire in my life, what I wanted to accomplish, not even desire, the greatest goal I wanted to accomplish was to go to the obra, to be a help and use to the servant of God because this was the church of God, the only church of God.
Right.
So I didn't give up. Um, and I do remember many times the minister in turn had told me, Hermano Nazon is considering sending out obreros to Hawaii and Australia. Do you want to go? But there I go. Oh, I would want to. I would love to, brother, but I'm in uni. I can't. Like it's
What
going to
what
interfere with
you
my
need?
school, university or
Oh,
college, right?
okay.
Yeah. I was like, I can't, brother, because, well, if I can get into the labor just like that, I would want at least to come and present a type of degree so I can be of a use. I still
Right.
want to be a use to the church. But, mija, this is an opportunity. If you want, I can tell hermano Nazon. And then I told him, but, brother, wouldn't that make me an exception because I'm not a virgin no more? Oh, that doesn't matter, mija, as long as you're active. Plus, and I do remember he did say that.
Hmm.
Plus, we know your family. Certain of God knows your family. They were very active back in the 80s, 90s,
Vienes de
70s.
buenas familias,
Yeah, sí, y más si daban dinero, right?
right?
So,
Uh,
with that being said, I had to talk to my mom, obviously, because I respected my mom. I was still living in the house. I couldn't just take a decision of my own. My mom said no. And thank God she said no. I really thank her. I'm like, thank you for stopping me at that age because you don't know. You're
right,
being exposed to, university students, all these crazy ideas. Well, crazy, supposedly, right? But not
right,
crazy. They're just living their life. But you're not exposed to that type of environment. So to
right,
you, that's crazy. That's whoa. What are they doing? Why are they doing this? Why are they cussing? Why are they drinking uncontrollably or whatever it is that they were going through?
right,
But eventually, when is it? 2014 comes, right? And they tell us Samuel is about to die. Oh my goodness. I left everything. I left work. I left my school. With that being said, the professors even like told me, well, if you want, you can still take your midterms, you can take your homeworks, your projects online if you're going to be out of the country. No, because if my father is dead, there's nothing for me to do.
oh, God,
Imagine. Oh my goodness. Like how, no, how embarrassing, how sad.
Oh, you think
um,
that?
Yeah, like I left everything
I quit my
for
job.
that. Yeah, I
You're
quit
I
my
kidding.
walked out.
job.
I walked out of my job. Yeah.
Really,
My,
you
my,
see, so I'm not the only one. I'm pretty sure many of us, like, we thought it was the end of the world, that
that's what I
Christ
told
was
my
gonna come.
boss.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
even
I
to
told
go to
him.
the Santa Cena, to the Holy Supper, they told you that you had to go, and you had that fear that what if this is a year that God's going to come for His church. And I
Yes.
remember the first year I started working for the phone company.
Mm-hmm.
I had just started in May, and then August was the Santa Cena, and I remember I gave a white lie and said that someone in the family passed away so they would let me go, and they did. But I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you do that now I laugh, I think
Yep.
about it and go, I would never do that now.
Yep.
I would be more afraid of someone, something really happening because I lied. So I'm like, but the things that we did because we had the fear that if we didn't do it, our souls were going to be lost. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. It's just crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So then
like, just like that, I also murdered so many invisible family members of mine.
that
Oh
happened.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Then you lose track of which one died.
Wait,
And then you come
wait,
back. How's everything? Wait, what?
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I got to keep y'all on track. I have to. I just have to.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So I'll be no, it's okay. This is part of my job is I just
Uh-huh.
to but I have to do a good job of keeping myself on track too, right? So let's take us to the moment that you accepted the opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
finally join the labor. Where
Okay.
did they send you first?
All right. So, um, the way I accepted, or the way I got into the labor, was pretty sketchy now that I look at it from a different point of view. So,
Okay.
and by what I mean by that is that around in 2014, after Samuel had passed away, or a little bit before that, one of my close friends from Australia, where he was located at the moment, he was a missionary. He comes to my house. I had bought him because I hadn't seen him, and he was a friend of mine for the longest, so many years. And it was just, a good experience. Hey, how you been? Whatever the name is, like I tell him, and he brought with him a companion, okay? Which is the guy, or the hermano who I married. So I meet him, okay? Little did I know that was going to be my husband. I meet him, and he's like, "Hi, peace of the Lord. My name is such and such." Okay, cool. So he comes up with the question. We started talking just in those days, and he goes, "Would you want to go to the obra?" Oh, yes. But because of certain situations, I can't. But would you want to? I mean, if the opportunity presents itself and if it's possible, I would love to. That's one of my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Goes and talks to his supervisor. He talks to his supervisor, and the supervisor says, "Hey, if you want to, we have letters of recommendation, and like we can set everything up so you guys can start dating." That was the first thing he said, dating. He comes to me and says, "You just have to go talk to your minister if you want to." And I mean, I was like, BS, like, what the hell?
Yeah,
That's
right.
crazy. But then again, how we were taught, leave everything in the hands of the Lord, pray
Right.
about it. And I remembered, okay, in my dream, I had gone to Australia. Hermano Samuel, he's sick. He hadn't died yet, right? Like, he was like
Yeah.
about to, like, days before. Or that's what we thought, because in reality, turns out they had even lied about his death date as well. So we don't even know in reality when he died.
When he died, yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy to think about it. And just to remember, I was just thinking, okay, what about if this is a sign from God? So I pray about it. God, if this brother is not for me, please take him away from me. But the more I prayed about it, the more he came close.
Yeah,
And
but he
then I
did.
said, no. And I said, well, let me go ask my minister for an advice. So I go, and the brother says, well, if you want me to marry you right now, I can. I was like, whoa, no, I'm just asking. And if
Bro,
there's
wait a minute.
permission, yeah, if there's permission, and if it's possible, yes, like I would want to get to know the brother. So pretty much, We left it pending because things got a little bit more serious with the health of Samuel. So after December 8th, they came back, the ministers, they gathered together. I believe they talked about it. I don't even know what happened. But they all came to the agreement. Sí se puede. Yes, you can. And obviously, when was it? Ya había pasado that everybody was having dreams of who the next apostle was going to be.
Yeah,
It all makes sense now. They already
it
knew
does.
beforehand
They
that
did.
Nason was going to
Absolutely.
be the one.
Absolutely. They
Yeah, because
fabricated
I
a
was the
lot of
yes,
prophet. I
stories.
said he was going to be it, and sure enough.
yeah, I even had dreamt about him. I saw him on my computer while watching the live, me being in Guadalajara, but just because the church was really packed, I mean, impossible for you to go to the temple. So I stood home and me watching my screen, I saw how supposedly Nason was the one. My dreams was like, whoa, okay, this is from God. Nason is the apostle, but it was all psychological.
It was. And one thing
Yeah.
I want to interject here to add to that, this is how important this is to anyone that doesn't believe. First of all, if you don't believe that they try to marry her after they just judged her and put her in probation after she made a decision for herself when she was young, like, yes, this is real. Yes, they were implanting things way before the transition, right? So I can't say who, but what I can say is someone that worked on making special custom pieces in La Provincia was tasked months, way before even the sickness was a thing, to start slowly changing the facial
The face.
structure
Hmm.
Yes. It
Yeah.
to
shows
make it
that's the
look
Hmm.
face.
like to make it partially look and start looking like a nason, right?
Yeah.
So there was already subliminal things happening beforehand, and God, I wish I could say who, but this is real. Like they were
Yeah.
already planning this way beforehand. I myself saw the original moldings of the items that were being created for the transition, essentially, right? Okay, so take us to that piece. There's just so much to talk about. Okay, so where we left off is they wanted to force marry you. You kept thinking about it. You were praying about it, and the more you prayed about it, the more he was like, "Hey, you want to join the labor? Hey, you want to get married? Hey, this is a sign from God. Oh my God, you and I are meant to be, right?" So he was clearly becoming a presence in your life more and more, right? Take it from there.
Was he
Yes.
courting you at that time over there? Was he courting you, the guy from Australia?
So sorry. What do you mean?
Like, was he
Courting.
courting you? Like asking, like flirting with you and telling you that he loved you and all this kind of stuff. Any of that stuff happen, or it was just like, let's get married and let's go to the opera? What was it?
Um, so I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna have to say it, and I'm sorry if he's ever
Hmm.
watching this. I'm sorry. I'm telling my part of the story. If he ever wants
Your
to come
part.
on and talk about his experience, hey, go
Oh,
for it.
I'll host you. Come on over,
But
bro. I got
he,
you.
yeah, he actually, and I mean, hey, there's nothing against him. I don't hate him. Okay, we parted
Oh,
Hmm.
I
ways.
can't wait to hear it. Yeah.
We're pretty good now. But and I just have to say we are co-parents, so we have a perfectly, I
That's
believe,
awesome.
a fine relationship because of the kids.
That's awesome.
But yes, during that time, he said, "Oh, I love you." It's like you don't even know me. I told him that you don't know.
Ooh, that's important. For anyone listening, that is very important.
Yeah,
Mind you, her aspirations, her goals, what she wanted, the opportunity was presenting itself. And he's even went as far as saying, I love you, but she already had these moments. You're like, wait a minute, you don't even know me.
yeah.
Okay. Did that interfere at all with your decision making and wanting to marry him to go out to the labor?
Um, I I don't really remember what I thought at that moment. I all I thought was this is from God.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
was
Yeah.
it. Like in reality, like I didn't even have nothing else in my mind. I was just thinking, no, this is from God, especially now that we knew Nason was the apostle, where I was like, okay, this is from God. This is my second chance. maybe whoever wants to see it that way. And let's
Yeah.
be honest, maybe I
Yeah.
saw it for my own advantage. You
Right.
Hmm.
know,
Of course,
I'm
yeah.
fulfilling my promise that I made to God. So I
Not
said,
only
hey,
that, after all that happened, I'm sure this was an opportunity of forgiveness for you and say, you know what, this is
yes,
what God is
yes,
offering me. I want to save my soul, so I'm going to give my life to the to
exactly.
the labor. Yeah, I get it, babe.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's funny because years after, um, my ex, he did tell me, so you just married me because you saw the opportunity. And I was like, I probably did. And you did too, so you can stay in the
Yes, I
obra.
was about to
So
say,
Right.
bro,
it
really?
so it
Yeah.
was a win-win situation.
You're right.
And
What?
exactly that's how it happened. And I mean, I have to be honest. I saw it not so I can go travel the world. Heck no. From no time did I think, oh, I'm gonna use him to go to another part of the world. No, my thought was, with me doing this, I'm gonna be forgiven for the sin that I committed years ago.
Right.
Even
Ooh.
though I already had
Yep.
how would we confessed? I had
Yeah.
prayed about it. I had gone through the probation, which supposedly should have
Humiliation.
been a year, but obviously, depending on who you are, we go back.
Mhm.
Depending on who you are, or where you come from, or how active you are, they'll
Right.
cut that probation. Some were 3 months, some were 6 months, others not
Wow.
even a year, some like weeks. And
And
then you
some
would see that
years and years and
improving.
years where
Yeah,
you
and
you get
others
and it's there
unjustly
here.
years. Yeah. Yeah, so it's crazy what
So
this
they
cult
married
does
you.
to you.
Yeah. So they married you, and then they just sent you off to the labor.
Yes, just like that.
Wow.
Just like that. So, I do remember, we did make a quick stop where his family was at, and they just said, "Oh, the obreros, el hermano got married." Wow, and it's crazy how you just have to tell the church that the missionary is married,
Mm-hmm.
and people will pour their pockets for
Oh yeah.
you.
Mhm.
Just like that,
Yep.
dismissing that some of them knew your testimony, your life, who you were, just because you're in the hands of the apostle. They dismiss all the bad things. They don't judge you no more. They see you as a saint. Obviously, I would feel like, okay, some of these people know me because they were from Cali.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't get it. They wouldn't talk to me. They would judge me. Like, they would criticize me. How come they're talking to me now? Mija, I'm so happy you're in the labor. Oh my goodness, yo sabía that you were meant to go to the labor. I'm like, wait, wait. All right, I guess, Here, ofrenda. Here's an offering so you can help yourself on the way to Australia. No, sister, no, brother, it's okay. Take it because if you don't take it, God isn't going to bless me. Imagine that.
Yep.
I have a
Yep.
question. When a person is approved or is anointed to go into the ministry,
Uh-huh.
doesn't the apostle have to approve it, or who approves it? Just your local minister, or how does that work? And I'm saying this because people outside of Luz del Mundo are going to hear our story, your story, and I want them to understand. So is it just the local ministers that anoint you as a minister to go out and speak the word of God, or how does that work?
That's exactly what I was wondering for so many years because how I said these obreros who came from Australia, in this case my ex, he comes from Australia. He didn't have to go ask any further or get any more approvals of who he was marrying because there's a carta, there's a letter authorizing that if they want to marry they can with whomever. And the best part, I remember, and I'm going to say the name. I'm going to expose him. It's not even exposing, it's just bringing up the name. Guillermo Victorin said, the carta was made by el hermano Nazón when he was a pastor, but hey, ahora es el apóstol. He's now the apostle, so this is more than valid.
It's a
And
collectible.
he's going to be extremely happy to know that the obreros are getting married and they're still going to be in the labor. Oh, and get this, okay? We were supposed to get married if everything was okay with both of us, if we understood each other. Okay, because remember, for whoever doesn't know, marriage, your relationship, when you're getting to know the person, it's 3 months max. But in certain circumstances, if you're in different countries or different cities, they'll probably extend that to 6 months or up to a year, just depending. Um, at first, the plan was for me and my ex to marry in August of the following year.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the part where I was like, okay, something, okay, they just wanted missionaries, or maybe they thought, okay, this is good. We're gonna make the obra grow. So I thought in my mind back then, no, well, yeah, because they probably want obreros. He said, think about it like this: why don't you guys get married right now? Saves you money, saves you the trip, saves you the whole dating and talking. There'll be time to get to know each other once you guys are married. Not only that, think about it: new era, new apostle, new opportunities. And I'm just thinking, yeah, that is true. Sí, nueva era, nueva era. And that
New rules.
slogan,
New
yes,
rules.
new rules.
Yep.
Like in
Corazón.
reality, yeah. Like new everything. So pretty much dismiss all those 50 years that Samuel worked for, and he made all these rules, throw them out the window and just bring in whatever Nason had for everybody. And we swallowed it. It
Well, you
sounds
can't even,
messed up.
you can't, back in the Samuel time, if the rule goes the same, marido de solo una mujer, same thing with girls,
Yep.
same thing, right? So if
Hmm.
you're not a virgin, especially if
Hmm.
you lost your virginity with someone else other than your spouse, you can't go to the ministry. You cannot.
Yep. You
That was the
cannot.
rule.
Yeah. And this applied even for men in the
Yes,
It
church.
did. It did.
yes.
But then Nason came along, and Nason knew about so many obreros, men, not, like this dismissing the fact that they were active, but just the fact that they were men and they knew their lifestyles. Hey, go
Mhm.
to the obra. Dios te va a perdonar.
Look at his
Ayúdame.
son.
Help me.
Look at Nason's son. Ahora es
Yeah,
diácono.
yeah. It's crazy
Yeah,
knowing him. Like I knew him. I considered him a friend.
right.
So it just tells you how they would use people for their advantage, because they didn't use me how they've used the victims sexual abuse, but they did physically, mentally. It drained being in the labor for so many years, working, and I'm gonna say it, I know we're not supposed to cuss, and I don't, but working my ass off to bring in something. If it wasn't money, it had to be a soul. If it wasn't a soul, you had to bring in children, because that's the future of tomorrow
Church.
within the church. And that's what they would tell us being in Dobra. If you guys are not bringing any souls, if you guys aren't, what was that word that they would use? Um, if you guys don't see any fruit, well, what else can we do? Have
Make
children.
make them.
Yeah,
Make the fruit.
these these are gonna be the children of tomorrow. This is gonna be um these are gonna be the brethren of tomorrow.
Okay.
And so yeah,
Ooh,
like it's crazy.
you're
So I
good.
get to Australia.
Hmm.
I get to Australia, and that's where I saw the harsh reality of the obra. It's not how they said it was going to be. It wasn't preaching 24/7. No. You had to work for your stuff. But not even that, because you would work to bring in money so you can get 10% of whatever it is that you worked for. But
Wait,
yeah, go
So
you
ahead.
to be
kept the 10.
clear, you gave up 90% of your
Yes.
pay and you kept 10% for your needs.
Yes. And that's
Wow.
only if the hermanos who were in the commission or finance department of the obra saw it fair enough to give equal parts to all the obreros. So sometimes we would get $10, sometimes $20, other times 50. It just varied of how many brothers were, or missionaries, right? Speaking, how many obreros there were, or how many hours were worked that week or those 2 weeks, whatever payments we had to do, and then the leftover money. Oh look, a cada quien nos tocó $5. We got to the point where every obrero got
A
five
week?
dollars
Was that a week?
a week. Yep. and
Wow.
then and then it increased to like $20. I don't ever remember getting in a week $100 $200. Never, never.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're working a full-time job
Yes, for those who were working.
for
Me
those
and
who are
my
working.
ex, we worked cleaning warehouses, factories that made juices for the country.
Hmm.
We would go at nighttime and clean the offices and the restrooms, which, by the way, were disgusting. And
Typically
whatever
are.
it is, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it is that we made, we couldn't even keep. So if we were hungry, we didn't have money. Hey, ni modo. You gotta wait till you get to the casa pastoral. Okay.
That's another thing too. It's like I know that you come from a great family. I know your mom, and I think of what you went to do was not was not something that you were it was meant to be or meant for you
Mm-hmm.
to do. It's work and survive. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's just crazy. And here in the States, we see a couple that goes to the ministry, and you're like, oh, you're thinking in your head they're out there knocking on doors, and the church is supporting them because we do give money on April 6th every year,
Mm-hmm.
for to support you guys.
Yep.
So this that you're saying, it's just crazy. It's just, how did you guys survive, Mija?
Honestly, and I do have to acknowledge it and give credit to where it's due, my ex suegros would support us. They would send money. His
Okay.
parents would send money. His sister would send
That's
money.
right.
Sometimes my mom would also send money, but it was mainly, they felt like, oh, it's the responsibility of the
Did they
husband.
know
So,
I was
what
gonna
your
say, did they
allowance
keep
they,
was?
that? Yeah,
uh, who the in the obra, if they
Your
knew.
ex-suegros, your whoever sent
Oh
you
yeah,
money, did they know your
yes.
situation?
Yes, they knew, and that's why they started sending with more frequency because their son would tell them, and he didn't even have to say at one point because in a picture that supposedly they had taken and pretty much posted on Facebook or whatever it is that they use social media. I think it was Facebook, right? Um,
Probably.
since they were very detailed, they zoomed in and they're like, "My poor son, look at his shoes." So what
mm.
are they doing over there? And they started saying, no, you know what? We're gonna start sending money.
I'm surprised
And
they
yeah,
didn't ask you the ministers that were in charge of you guys. I'm surprised they didn't ask you for that money. Did you guys do it under the table or something? Or
honestly, from what I remember, we wouldn't say openly to everybody, "Hey, look, my family sent money." Just
Keep it
some things
secret.
like in between jokes, like, "Oh, well, my family sent me money. I got you guys. Let's to the restaurants. Let's go get a burger or a pizza." Because
yeah.
sometimes we would share because it wasn't equal with everyone. Obviously, everybody's families had different financial needs, some more than others. But I do remember that some who were really well off, they
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say much. They wouldn't really share. And I mean, it's understandable. They don't have to. They're not forced to. But you being Dobra and you hear about it, you're like, how come he gets this and he's only sharing with one person when he knows that we all have needs? We're all
Mhm.
hungry. We're all eating the same way. So it just depended on how close you were with the obreros.
Okay, so we have a better understanding of the money situation in Australia, right?
Yes.
So we know that that, I mean, it's terrible that you're struggling. Everyone's struggling there, hunger, clearly losing weight. You're not even able to take care of your own clothes and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was your marriage developing during all this time?
Where do I start? It was a lot. It was a lot, and I do have to say, um, it wasn't how I thought it was going to be because obviously I married somebody who I didn't know, who I didn't even get a chance to pretty much talk to for a few months. It was just like, hey, get in the wagon, let's go. Okay, ahí voy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying like how in Hector show se expresan how they express themselves like a pendeja, like, okay, fool. Of
Let's
course, let's
vámonos.
go
Yeah,
blindly.
let's
Let me go.
go.
Take me wherever it is that you have to take me.
Yeah.
But we can cut that part out.
Oh, I won't. I won't cut it out. I'll just be
That
like,
sounds actually
beep.
kind of cute. I
I'll
like
do
it.
beep.
But yeah, like honestly, I got to know him, and I I did see the reality of things. It wasn't what I thought it was, and I mean it's understandable. And I never hated him for that because he didn't know what love was. I didn't
Right.
either. I
Right.
didn't know him. Like, even though we had two children, but just things that he was doing, um, I would be like, why is he acting this way? Like, how come he doesn't respect me? Just the fact that
Oh,
when there are obreras there, and
yeah.
in my mind, I would think, well, we're from the church where we should be an example. There should be a certain respect. How come the obreras feel the right to talk to all these hermanos however they want? How we say in Spanish, with mucha confianza, you know? And I don't know if maybe it was just me and me thinking like, okay, like I have to be jealous, or how we say celosa. I wasn't toxic. I don't think
Right.
I was.
Hey,
But
Mika,
then
how
I
was
again,
don't
the
think
yeah.
living
so.
situation there?
Yes. I'm
How
sorry?
was your living situation as a couple? Were you guys sharing a place together, or were you guys
Um
have privacy?
no, so all the obreros, we all lived in under one roof. We pretty much didn't have much privacy. So we slept in one room, and then the jóvenes hermanas, they slept literally in the other room next to us. But obviously, you can hear everything. And in front of us was, I believe, another couple. And then the brothers, the hermanos, they were outside, like in a granny flat, what we would call, or, well, yeah, no, like a
Yeah.
bungalow.
Yeah.
And in reality, I mean, let's be honest, this is a mature show. When you're trying to have an intimate moment with your spouse, you can't. You really can't.
No.
Like, even kissing, like just a peck on the lips or on the cheeks, you can't do it with that freedom of feeling this is my wife, this is my husband, because you have to, quote unquote, respect everybody who's there, especially because there's a lot of jóvenes who are not married. So it's crazy to
It is.
live with other people, especially when they're not married.
Were they
And
Certain
all girls?
things.
Were they all girls, Mika, or they were? It was a co-ed, or
Um, so there were girls. Well, yeah, it was co-ed, but mainly the ones inside of the house were usually always the sisters, because the brothers, they would be outside in the bungalow, so they had their own things over there. But just the, how would I say it? Just the things that I would hear as the wife, and things that my ex would bring, like, oh hey, such and such this, such and such that. I'm like, well, aren't they not supposed to be dating each other? I thought they're not supposed to be
I heard
talking to
stories.
each other.
I heard stories that
oh
happened.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what?
Yeah.
And I would be the last one to even judge. I would not judge, period. But
Hmm.
you bring young kids, girls and boys,
Yeah.
and if something happens, it's going to happen, especially
Yeah,
with
of
no
course.
supervision of your parents, or
Hmm.
and you're lonely and you want to feel loved. Of course, something's going to
Yeah.
happen. But I can't
And
believe that they even put people in that situation too. You know?
yeah. And without the supervision of an adult, I mean, we were considered adults, but the oldest person there was like around 20 something years old.
Yeah.
Like, we're young adults, just growing up, learning how to survive
I'm
in
Wow.
a
gonna.
world
Oh,
far away
okay.
from our country. So, yeah, like in a different world, pretty much.
So we've hit the time limit, but I want to expand a little bit more on what I saw myself according to the stories, of things that happened with a lot of obreros o batallones that went out to stay in a house where there's 18 people living in there. So you're right. If they would constantly ask churches around the area, if you weren't in Australia like you were, if they wanted to donate. And in one of those, my wife or Dira and I decided to tag along with six other brothers and to travel the Northeast states where the battalions were to go and deliver food. We bought thousands. The church got together and bought thousands of dollars worth of supplies, not money, supplies.
Yeah.
And each of the places was a different story, right? So one of the worst, but such a common thing was a house we went to. Everyone was sad. Everyone looked broken. Everyone looked just in bad shape. And
Mhm.
we were trying to preach, hey, keep your chin up. This is for the apostle, and all this stuff. And we were hosting the prayer in the kitchen.
Wow.
and everyone's just you know really sad and everything. But I were looking around for some reason. They didn't know why. So after they dismiss all the jóvenes, the youth, to go upstairs to go somewhere else, and the adults would talk, right? Um, Other than being grateful that I could finally sit at the adult table, they discussed what happened. So basically, the night before we arrived there, two of the youth were having sex in that house where we were hosting the prayer. And apparently, they had just found out that it wasn't just them, it was a couple of other ones. So I was shocked. Like, how could you fall? The apostle believed in you. How could you? And I was getting all
Yeah.
judgmental with it. And someone had the audacity to ask, where where did this happen? Where, if there's so many people in here, where did this happen? And he couldn't answer. And so I said, oh, me, I just said it was me. And so I asked, where? Like, where would they do this? So the guy said, here in the kitchen where we just hosted the prayer,
Mm-hmm.
right there next to the sink. That was the end of that conversation. And unfortunately, that was very common. So I will unfortunately interrupt the story here. There is a lot more to discuss, and that'll come with time. So we're going to surprise all of y'all next week with another recording. Not sure when it's going to drop, later next week. There will be a live
Mm-hmm.
next week. So Exoreta, feel free to tag along, jump in those comments. If you know her story, it's an insane one, right? And there's nothing more for me to really say to her story other than this is real. Dia, is there anything you'd like to say?
You know, I so appreciate that Exoreda's with us because the stuff that we've heard that we were thinking cannot be. This really can't be happening. The higher ministers need to have the the knowledge and the experience as an adult, not to send youth to stay under one roof because something will happen. It's not their fault. Their hormones are going. But now Exoder is telling us it did happen. You just said something that you heard that did happen. Um, and it's so sad. Um, I'm grateful again, Loretta, that you're opening up with us and you're sharing your story. And God, there's so much more to say, and we look forward to it. We try to keep it for 1 hour, but I'm looking forward to hearing more of your story, Mika. And more than anything, just so that kids, I'm saying kids because they are kids, do not sign up for this because it's, you've said that many times, Mika, is that, it's not what they tell you it is going to be. So, and that's especially for the parents, right? To know what's going to happen to the kids if they go unsupervised.
Yeah,
Thank you,
no,
Dia.
and it's true. Yes, I want to thank you guys for allowing me this space, this hour. Although we're not finished,
No,
there's more to come.
so much
There's
more.
more to come,
Yes,
and believe me, from the bottom of my heart, I'm telling this to everybody who's listening. It's not me trying to expose the truth on purpose. It has to be said. I'm not doing this to crush anybody's dream or, oh, it's because you're trying to brainwash me. No, this cult brainwashes you into thinking you're doing the right thing, and you're not.
right.
So I will be saying, sorry, not selling, saying what I have to say, my experience.
You're telling your story.
I'm telling my story, my testimony, and I just think about it right now that supposedly the greatest leader, the main leader, Nason, since he's in prison, imagine what all these ministers are doing to take more advantage of all these
Right,
obreros. Because
Right.
right,
back then we thought, oh, they can't do much because we're untouchable because we were sent out here by Nason. But within the ministry, if I may say, many of the pastors hated us because we were different than all the other obreros, the missionaries. anywhere else because we were considered nazons obreros.
Oh, I
So
remember they made a
yeah,
separation. That's right.
yeah,
Darn it. We'll
yeah,
finish it and we'll talk about it more next time.
yeah.
Echovera, thank you so much. And
You're
we will see
welcome.
you for the
Thank
next
I
you.
one.
know.
This one is a long story to be told, and it's a beautiful one. And
Mhm.
trust me, it's worth taking the time little by little to break this down. Also, I've gotten good feedback on our episodes that they love it, that we keep it at an hour. It leaves suspense for the next episode, but then it also is short enough that you can just quickly listen to it and then move on. So, as much as I want to do 2 3 hour episodes, we'll stick to one.
Yeah, I've listened to some of the episodes, and honestly, like it leaves me wanting more. I'm like, oh, I wanted to hear more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good job, you
Thank
guys.
you.
Love
Yes.
you.
Okay. Bye,
All
everyone.
right then. Bye.